And it gives me great pleasure tonight to introduce our speaker. Our speaker is Dawn Rickabaugh. She's commonly known as the Note Queen, and she is the owner of NQ Capital Inc. That is an investment company that buys both real estate and notes. So that's something I'm trying to do myself right now. She provides both buyers and sellers access to simple but little known strategies for maximizing profits. Dawn does both mentoring and coaching and provides paid consulting services for owner financed real estate transactions. She's a great teacher, and she helps others to start investing in promissory notes and trust deeds. She's been doing this a long time. She's a seasoned professional, and she's uniquely qualified to help sellers create a note worth holding or selling, which is really important. The value comes in being able to do both. It's possible to create a note that can be sold for little or no discount. Dawn works both as a writer, educator, speaker, and podcaster, and has been featured on publications and media such as Investors Business Daily, the Wall Street Journal's Market Watch, and the National Association of Realtors Real Estate Today radio show. Dawn does have a degree from Brigham Young University, and she has a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, actually, and worked also in the ICU and ER at a hospital in Pasadena. But currently, Dawn, and for a number of years now, Dawn has pursued her passion for helping people through a blend of traditional real estate and note transactions. And she's also the proud mother of 4 adult children and hopes to have grandchildren before too long. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Dawn Rickabaugh.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. We could have cut that intro in half. That just kind of went on and on. But I guess that's what's happened when you're older, you know, there's more to say. Hopefully, you've done a few things with your decades. But thank you so much. It's really an honor to be here. It seems like you guys are my kind of crowd, the kind of people that when I was starting to hang around the note business in the mid-90s to the early 2000s, you know, this was the jive, the feel of the people that, you know, that really formed my values and how I see the business. So I appreciate the opportunity to be with you, and I hope that I can, that everyone who came here, I know there's a lot of really smart people on here. I hope that I can provide some value for the time that you're spending here. So whether people are super new or really seasoned, I'd really like the feedback if I'm assuming something that you don't know, I'm assuming you know it and you don't, let me know. And for those of you who are just really brilliant and experienced, thank you for being here. You could probably school me on a lot of things. So I thought just first, before I get into the PowerPoint, I would just sort of share how I came into the business. So I graduated from BYU with a nursing degree and went to work right after college and also had babies one after the other. It was quite a blur. I had them all within a 5-year period. But anyway, during all this whole time that, you know, I'm working, raising a family, I always had this thing in the back of my head that I should be smart enough to figure out how to quit trading hours for dollars. You know, I would go to these weekend conferences about anything, whether it's, you know, real estate, trading options on the stock market, you know, whatever it was, you know, every so often I would save up the money and go to these weekend classes and get inspired. And then the thing that really got me was, and I mentioned this on a social post recently, that I was remembering it was a mailer from Russ Dalby, who ran the America's Note Network. He was a big marketer. He didn't know much about notes, but he was a big marketer. And he's the one I go, well, what's this? So I went to the weekend conference and I'm like, of all the things, for some reason, this just grabbed me like it was the most amazing secret, arcane thing I've ever heard. And then once I figured out I could use 5 buttons on the calculator, which is basically all I can use right now, it's like I felt so smart, and I just fell in love with it, a little bit geeky. I would be, my partner would catch me under the covers at night sometimes with the phone because I thought, how else could I put that deal together? The financial calculator on the phone is really just, I could do the business from there. I would be at the park with my kids, and someone would call about a note, and I would just go, okay, here's, let me say, I think I could pay you anywhere between this or this. I mean, then that was it. I could do business practically just with a phone, computer at home, and all that. But then I picked up T-Value and a couple of, remember NoteSmith? Is NoteSmith still out there as a servicing? Anyway. But, so anyway, I hung around for a long time. I basically like to say I was kind of on the short bus because it took me a really long time of hanging around. It's tough to want to leave your W-2 job when you got kids to raise and you're kind of the primary breadwinner, and it's ER job is kind of sexy too. You get some kudos from being an ER nurse and having cool stories. So anyway, long story short, one day, so I've been hanging around. I would go into the conferences like Noteworthy and the other ones that America's Network did. I learned a lot from a guy named, I forget, Hotspur Consult, David Butler. He was one of the main trainers, and then I kind of started hanging around the Noteworthy crowd and the old guys like Bill Broadbent, and Henry Dvorak and Tom Henderson a little bit later. I forget. Oh, Jeff Armstrong was around in those early days too. But anyway, so I did a few things here and there. But one day back in 2004, I knew that I needed to make a change and follow my heart, but I wasn't because I was seduced by the security, which is a good thing to be seduced by security when you're raising kids. But I had this dream where, a very vivid dream where Jesus, I was in a cage, very comfortably on a cage sitting on the top of the Grand Canyon, basically. This cage, not too much bigger than a phone booth. Remember that? Those of you who are old like me know what a phone booth is.
Absolutely. Where Superman used to change.
Yeah. Anyway, and then it was the most beautiful day. I was very comfortable. And then I notice over my right shoulder, Jesus is standing behind me, and he's just did not say a word. He's just like sparkling like a prankster, like he's got a big joke he's going to play on me. So the next thing I know, he's pushing my cage towards the edge of the cliff really quickly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, I have about a couple seconds to decide whether I'm going to go in this cage over the cliff to my death, or I'm just going to lean back and trust the process. So right as the cage was falling over the cliff, I decide to lay back and trust the process, and I'm floating in the air. The cage falls through my body, and I'm just standing there floating in the air, and me and Jesus are smiling at each other, and I go flying all around. So I took that as my divine dispensation to the very next day quit my nursing job. Well, Jesus said, so anyway, and I haven't looked back. It was not nearly as easy as I wanted it to be, but I just never quit, and there's a little bit more about my story in one of my little books, Note Investing for Newbies. But to me, it's more than just numbers and profits. It's just sort of a weird passion because what it means to me, knowing the note business makes us create more mom and pop solutions between each other. I like unplugging from Wall Street, Washington and Wall Street, and just seeing how we can have parallel economies. That whole conversation's really taking a big one as we come into the new financial system with everything going on to the blockchain. And there's centralized and decentralized rails for all of that. So it's going to be really interesting. And I also think, just to say, as much as I love notes and real estate and solving these problems and putting the paddles on a retirement account, and giving it a little push so people can actually keep up with inflation, I really believe in diversifying a lot into different things so that you're hedging your bets. So I do have some crypto type assets, precious metals, and well as cash on the mattress, food storage. I'm a kind of a prepper, so those are the things I think people should do first if they don't have any prep or any liquid cash. I think they should do that first before they start investing in notes. Anyway, so that's kind of so I started when I quit the nursing job. The first thing I did was get hired. I said, well, I better learn more about real estate. So I got my real estate license, and I hung it with an office, and they were doing both traditional sales and fix and flip. So in the course of doing cold calling for them, I would come across these people who had a small portfolio of notes, usually free and clear. I don't know why that's in my face. Anyway, but person after person, they would say, well, honey, yes, we're tired of managing, but we're not going to sell for cash because we don't want to pay the capital gains. We need the income for retirement, and we want to leave a great inheritance for our kids. I heard that over and over and over again, and then in my newbie brain, I started going, wait a minute. They don't know about owner financing. And this is where property meets paper. Seller financing brings property and paper together. And so then once I could show them that they could almost double their net income by turning their paper assets, their real assets into paper assets, I started to get a little bit of traction. And because in the office, I was always talking about seller financing instead of everyone else was just buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high. And I'm like, well, what about owner financing? Have we asked them if they would carry a note? And everyone's like, oh, Lord, not her again. So a gay guy in the office, finally he said one day when it was time to come into the 4:00 meeting, he's like, well, here comes the note queen. Again, talking about notes and seller financing all the time. So that's how I kind of got that brand, sort of by accident and nickname. So when they went under during the crash, the 2007-8 crash, I went out on my own and just said, well, I'm going to build a name around it, and either people love it or hate it. I was advised against it by pretty much everyone, but I just did it anyway. And so that's how it really happened. So now when I start my presentation, basically one of the things I love to do, because it was so hard, it took me so many years of hanging around to figure out, for the concepts to really drop in and be accessible, and also to understand it in the context of everything else. And so to me, I like creating a framework of how it works and then kind of why it matters. And there's lots of different reasons that are great, but I'm just going to kind of share my map of this space and a way to see it, a way to relate to it, see yourself in it, where's the best place for you to go based on where you're starting and you want to do something different. Where's your next logical low-hanging fruit? And so if you will forgive me, I'll try to move as fast as I can. And but also, I'm going to say the same things in a few different ways because that's what helped me over the years, explain it to myself and then other people. So hopefully the first part of this will just be theoretical and defining the boundaries of the playing field. And then I'm going to get into some specific deals, and anytime anyone else wants to have a question, we'll stop at each sort of zone. And then at the end, I just want to go, if you have a certain deal, or here, I'm here in this box and I want to move to this box, we can go into that if we have time. But now that I've used up an hour talking about how I got started here.